It is so scary. The last thing I said to that was just, can we please stop talking? To which both I got a response from Ethan and Gila saying, no, we can do whatever we want. You don't get to tell us what to do. And all I was simply asking out of pure desperation for this nightmare to end, because it is straight up bullying. It's inciting hate on purpose. Inciting very dangerous hate. I've deleted every video about them. I have not spoken their name once in months. I just wanted it to be over.
I was sent this video by a subscriber as a request to talk about. When I first saw this video, I asked myself, what happened to her and why is she so distraught? I mean, naturally, I wanted to comfort her as I genuinely felt sorry for what she was going through. But then I started reading the comments, and let's just say they weren't good. Majority of people felt that she was faking the tears, that she was faking her hysteria. Several others expressed how they thought she was getting back everything she put out into the universe, and this was the universe's way of returning the favor. After reading the comments and seeing no one was really sticking up for her or in her favor, I asked myself, well, what the heck did she do to deserve such public criticism? Well, a lot.
Once insulted me at the beginning of the spring. She has a fucking podcast. I brought life to the fucking H3 channel, but Hila's too fucking good to even mention her name.
The commentator. Girl, what are we talking about today? Today, we are talking about the infamous internet personality Trisha Paytas. Hey, I'm B and welcome to my channel. If you're new, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you're returning, thanks for coming back. Before we get into it, let me make my intentions clear. It is always my goal to bring truth, information, and awareness to the topics I cover on my channel, no matter who it is. Remember, it's not tea, it's information. As we get ready to dive into the character of Trisha Paytas, there are some things we need to talk about first. Trisha has referred to herself as non-binary and uses them/they pronouns. However, in her bio, she also uses she/her pronouns, and that is what I will be referring to her as. Trisha has also diagnosed herself as having dissociative disorder, borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia. To my knowledge, she hasn't been clinically diagnosed by a professional. There are some videos where she has stated that she takes medication that treats schizophrenia and assumed she had it, but it was later determined her assumptions were wrong. So that doesn't mean she doesn't have what she has self-diagnosed herself as having. It just means I cannot confirm or deny it. This isn't a deep dive on Trisha Paytas' background in terms of her childhood and upbringing, as there is a channel here on YouTube that does an excellent job of looking into her past, which I will link below. We're going to focus more on Trisha's online presence and how it ties into the video I was sent. Just know that I do believe Trisha has experienced many traumas as well as dealing with mental health issues, but that does not excuse bad behavior. I would also like to say that Trisha's story in general seems to contradict one another, and it is very hard to tell what is true and what's false, what is real and what is fake, what is factual or a blatant lie. With her, everything is very convoluted. Trisha created her YouTube career in 2006 and became very successful. On top of her shock value content, she was known for her fast ability to talk.
You know what would be scarier if after putting on the one shoe, I recklessly put my foot in the other one and discovered that I was teaming with hundreds of spiders. All the babies were in there. Let's see.
She did a lot of comedic videos, sit-downs, beauty vlogs, and was even part of David Dobrik's vlog squad. Trisha is most known for her offensive things she has done, and the list to this is long. In today's video, we won't focus on every scandal she's had as there are so many, but we will talk about one of her recent scandals that relate to the video shown at the beginning. In this video, you see a hysterical Trisha asking over and over again for a guy named Ethan Klein to stop talking about her. Well, who is Ethan Klein? Ethan is the creator along with his wife Hila of H3 Productions. This production company produces several channels on YouTube. His channels critique and comment on trendy online topics, drama, and it covers online personalities in a very satirical way. In addition, his wife Hila has a clothing line called Teddy Fresh. Like Trisha, Ethan and Hila have a massive online presence and have a very successful career. H3 Productions created a podcast called H3 Podcast, which is one of the highest ranking podcasts in the United States. It was through this podcast where Ethan would create a series called Frenemies, where he would co-host the segment with infamous Trisha Paytas. The Frenemies podcast debuted September 15, 2020 and was a hit. Prior to hosting this podcast together, Ethan and Trisha had a very hot and cold relationship, hence the name Frenemies. When Trisha began hosting the podcast with Ethan, she was at the time dating Ethan's brother-in-law, Moses. Moses is the brother of Hila. So not only were they co-workers, they were also kind of like family. You know what they say, don't mix business with family. It was interesting watching the podcast from the beginning because even though hopes were high and everyone was very optimistic that this would be successful, there was an undertone that things eventually were going to implode between the two. It was just a matter of time. Ethan and Trisha clearly have a relationship that is contentious, but were trying their best to create an amazing podcast and cohesive space. To me, it was like a recipe for disaster, and sure enough, a disaster hit. Ethan and Trisha are both very outspoken. They don't back down, and before you knew it, heads were rolling. As a viewer, this was pure gold entertainment. So where did it go wrong? Well, let's start from the beginning. Trisha has been accused of appropriating different cultures and religions. She's been accused of fetishizing them and has stated herself that she has an obsession with Jewish people. Ethan, who is Jewish American, took great offense to this, and in the second episode made this pretty clear.
Is that Trisha has been making really obscene, borderline, I don't want to say anti-Semitic because you love Jews.
Wait, what? Me?
I'm not going to say anti-Semitic.
I love Jews. We always talk about this.
Yeah, but it goes to a point of like fetishizing them.
True, yeah. It's the American Jews that get angry, which aren't real Jews. You're like,
what?
These two, throughout the whole Frenemies podcast, were very passive-aggressive and frequently made backhanded comments towards each other. In my opinion, I do feel that Ethan made more of an attempt to understand Trisha and show more compassion and patience with her, while she used that to her advantage and oftentimes gaslighted and manipulated him. Not only were they clashing on the podcast, they were also having a lot of issues behind the scenes within the family. Remember, Ethan's wife Hila is related to Trisha's boyfriend Moses. They are siblings. And by the third episode, we, the audience, really see the combative dynamic between the two.
I was just chatting with a friend. I mean,
we're not friends. We're not friends like that.
Okay, sorry.
No, you weren't chatting with a friend.
And by the way, oh my God.
You were being so, and I was like, oh my God. And then with Moses' family, just everyone coming at me, and now your family apparently hates me. Everyone's families hate me. And I'm like, you know what? This isn't working. There's too many. There's just too many.
Okay, let's slow down. Let's catch your breath.
I should have taken a Xanax today.
And deconstruct. First of all, can you show a profile shot? Because everybody was noticing that you're, like, I guess you have extensions, so it looks like
it's a wig underneath. Feel it.
Oh, it is?
Feel it.
Trisha comes across almost manic in a way and very confrontational while Ethan tries to soothe and redirect her. It all seems very exhausting. Something I would like to point out, as I feel this is very important, but this topic is definitely for another day. Trisha frequently makes inappropriate sexually related comments to Ethan throughout Frenemies. Ethan typically laughs it off and will also reject the advances, but it makes me wonder if this was a man constantly making sexual comments to a female coworker, like
I just feel like you either want to like be me or be in me, like one of the two.
Would we all just laugh at that? Is this not sexual harassment? In the fourth episode, Trisha is yet again making very uncomfortable statements towards Ethan, and he again laughs it off and just goes with it. As Ethan is hooked up to a lie detector test, she asks him, does he want to have sex with her?
I don't know what to ask. Do you want to have sex with me?
Wow, it really is just all about how much your mind is one place.
That's all I ask for.
No.
There's not a world that exists like that. Like, I swear on my life, like everybody wants to like be me or be in me. Always.
And you don't trust me when I say I have no desire to fuck you or be
I know you're lying. You look so pretty right now. It's insane.
He's married, and she's dating his brother-in-law. But again, if the roles were reversed, the Frenemies podcast, though, at this point was so entertaining and the public really loved it. Trisha and Ethan bickered and threw jabs during each episode, but nothing seemed too harsh until episode 5. Take a look.
You were into pills. You never talk about that you were a pill addict for a minute.
What?
Yeah, you said that. You said you were really into pills, and you don't talk about that.
Why do I need to talk about that?
Because that's being open. That you're judging me for being crazy, taking pills or whatever. Like I take pills or whatever. But you've done it too, and you're just not open about it.
I don't think that is a defining characteristic of who I am.
I think that is a big thing. That makes sense. Why? Because you're on medication now, and there's no shame or judgment in it. But like, hey, if you're going to shame me for being off meds, you should say, hey, I'm on meds.
I'm not shaming you for being off meds.
That's what it sounds like. You just
think
call
you're
me crazy,
But here's
which
what you
means
do.
I'm off
You know what you just did?
medication.
You're trying to see. This is why you are such a dangerous person, especially to be close with, because you'll take something that I've told you. You'll take something that somebody told you in confidence, and you'll use it. You'll weaponize it against them.
That's not true.
That's what you just did.
No,
and luckily for you, I don't care, and I'm okay with it. But you go, oh well, I told you an anecdote about how I used to take tramadol back in Israel when I was like bored in a dead end job, and you literally just weaponized that against me.
You called me crazy, knowing my history.
Bro, we always call you crazy. You're like upfront
but
crazy.
But if you're gonna call me crazy, then I'm gonna say, hey, why don't you own up to what you've done? That also
doesn't make
crazy.
Me crazy. Okay, I'm joking around, and then you go, okay, so what do I have to weaponize against Ethan? Oh, he told me he used to take pills in Israel. I don't think he's ever said that. So here, I'm going to drop that on him.
You want me to weaponize you? Because I have things I could actually weaponize you with, and I don't.
About.
No, but I don't do it. There's certain things.
You just did it.
Moses knows there's certain things about him I would never say.
And you just threatened me with doing it more. That's why you're so dangerous. You can't do that.
No, I didn't. Because
you do that to everybody.
I know personal things about you, and do I say it? No.
You literally just did.
That's not that personal because you just call me crazy being off my medication. So therefore,
I didn't say anything about being off your medicine.
And then you asked me how.
I literally didn't mention being off your medicine.
Then you asked me.
I said you're crazier than me.
Oh, I said you're not open and honest about everything. You're like, yes, I am open. I'm like, are you though? And then you were pushing.
It's not that I'm hiding that I took pills. It's just you used it. It's not a
push somebody to the level of like saying this, and this, and then also be like, now you're weaponizing me. You push and push and push constantly.
Nah, you're fucked up.
You're fucked up.
This was the first time where the audience could see how things were unraveling in this podcast, and people didn't know how much longer Frenemies would last. It would last for 30 more episodes. Trisha and Ethan would make up on the following episode by Ethan really conceding to Trisha and Trisha refusing to apologize.
Apologize for sure.
You did apologize.
Yeah, I am sorry. I didn't like the way that the podcast ended. I felt really bad.
I mean, people said people were more on your side than my side on that one, saying that I shouldn't have gone for your family, but I'm not apologizing.
You don't apologize for anything?
No.
So what do I apologize for?
You don't have to apologize.
But I do apologize.
Okay, so what are you apologizing for? Why are you asking me what you're apologizing for? What are you apologizing for?
Well, I guess I do need to go back and look, but if I was sharing private information that wasn't supposed to be public, then that's fucked up. I agree.
I don't think it's fucked up. I was like, if that's and that's how I thought. I'm like, if that's our relationship and dynamic, I was like,
but
also people said it wasn't private. I don't know. I don't watch your other podcasts, but I guess it wasn't private that you do pills or shit. I don't know.
Yeah, I may have talked about it before. I don't do pills, just to clarify.
I don't know. I have no idea. So
yeah,
Thank you for clarifying.
No, but I just want to make it sure because you sound like I have an active addiction to pills.
I didn't make it sound any See, again, that's you. I literally said, I don't know.
No, you just said because you do pills. I just trying to clarify for the record, not trying to say you're trying to mislead. I just want the audience to know.
Oh my God. Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
So she makes a lot of passive aggressive comments while he is tiptoeing around her. I honestly felt bad for Ethan watching this podcast. I don't want to label Trisha, but it was so hard watching him try different methods to deal with her, and he really subjected himself to a lot of abuse, in my opinion, by someone who is demonstrating very manipulative, narcissistic traits, which is a form of abuse. But from episode 5 through 12, the two seemed to be in a much better place, with Trisha at some point even stating she missed Ethan and the podcast when they were on a 1-week break. They did couples therapy with Dr. Drew and yoga in another episode to bond. But this fairy tale wouldn't last, as the two would have an all-out battle on episode 13.
What does that mean? You're trying to attack our parental abilities?
Let's just move on. There's no attack. I just made a comment.
There's something wrong with having a nanny?
In my eyes, yes.
Really?
We just keep doing the
What about daycare?
Daycare's different.
Why?
Nannies are like people who come here and take care of your child all day.
Because we're working. That's how everybody has nanny. They work. People work.
You can take care of kids and work. I never had a nanny. My parents, I never had a nanny.
And so you think we're bad parents? That's what you're insinuating?
I said I would never have a nanny. Did I say you had a bad parent? You're putting words in my mouth. I literally said I would never have a nanny if I had a kid.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of people have nannies. A lot of our employees have nannies. Because we both work, right? Mm-hmm. And so we have a nanny that Theodore really likes, and he spends the whole day with her. And then when she's done around 4:30, we take over and spend... I think that's pretty normal.
Okay. Happy for you guys.
Why are you attacking our parental
I'm not. I said
choices?
I would not have a nanny if it was me.
But
I'm not attacking your parental choices. You do whatever you want. I'm not attacking.
But why did you make that comment then?
I'm just saying. I heard a nanny upstairs, and I was like, "Oh, I want to have a nanny."
Why'd you say it?
Because I want to have a nanny. I heard a nanny upstairs. And I was like,
but clearly you're trying to say something about us.
I'm not at all. That's you.
Really? You just said it out of nowhere when you're mad at me?
You're projecting that.
No, I'm not. Why would I? How am I projecting?
Because you're like, oh, you're attacking us. I didn't attack you. I just said I want to have a nanny.
Do you think I'm a good dad?
It was a comment. I have no idea. I don't know. You seem fine. You seem good with him. I have no idea if you're a good dad. I can't say either way.
After Ethan received a message from his wife, Gila, Trisha asked Ethan if they could have her on the show one day as a guest, to which Ethan immediately shuts it down, and that really upsets Trisha. For those that do not know, Ethan has Tourette's syndrome, which is a neurological disorder characterized by involuntary tics and vocalization. So in this clip, you can see Ethan's movements and the way in which he speaks very kind of sporadically, which could be related to this syndrome. Either way, Trisha doesn't respond well to the fact that Gila doesn't want Trisha speaking about her on the show. Take a look.
She's really upset because she was saying how Hila doesn't like her.
Hila says, don't talk about me on the podcast. All I said was you should have the guest. He's like, we can't mention Hila. She doesn't want me to talk about, oh, she's too good for a fucking podcast. Even though we were talked about, they never once consulted me at the beginning of the spring. She has a fucking podcast. I brought life to the fucking H3 channel, but Hila's too fucking good to even mention her name. I said nothing bad. I said like, oh, we should have her as a guest or whatever like that. Don't even mention Hila. She doesn't want to be talked about. Fucking
okay.
I literally don't care. Literally, I don't want to come back because I really fucking hate her.
So she always making comments about the family and how
I wasn't. That wasn't it. I said, oh, Hila should be a guest on the podcast. And you're like, don't fucking mention Hila. She's the one I'm talking about. Oh, a fucking queen. You guys can talk about my shit all the time. But her, don't fucking mention her name. Dumb fucking bitch.
Okay.
I think we should just end it, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too.
She's such a fucking bitch.
She's not.
And you are too. And you're a fucking cuck.
You
have no fucking backbone.
All right. You should leave. We'll talk later. Yeah, you should get out.
I am going, but we're not talking later. Fucking bitch, you too.
This fight and subsequent events went viral. Everyone was talking about it, and it brought a lot of publicity to their podcast. Millions were tuning in to watch this train wreck. And although it brought tremendous ratings, it was doing a lot of damage to everyone involved. The conflict Ethan and Trisha had on Frenemies was also affecting family dynamics. Trisha's comments about Gila, Ethan's wife, created issues. Trisha's outbursts and very disrespectful comments created issues between siblings, Gila and Moses. It was a catastrophe. After the brutal fight Ethan and Trisha had, they invited Dr. Drew back on the show to mediate the situation. Instead of staying neutral, Dr. Drew took Trisha's side and basically invalidated and dismissed Ethan's mental and emotional trauma in the situation, which I found to be quite unfair. Ethan apologized, and then Dr. Drew quickly interrupted him and said it didn't feel genuine, yet at the time he was the only one who even apologized. To sum it up, Trisha would use her past as a tool to escape accountability, while Ethan's feelings were completely overlooked and dismissed, and the show went on. As the show went on, Trisha began to develop a more likable personality. Up until this point, Trisha was very problematic, offensive, and villainized. With the support of Ethan and H3 Productions, it helped show Trisha in a better light midway through the podcast, and it improved her image online. A lot of it has to do with Ethan and the crew bending over backwards to appease her. As long as they stayed in her good graces, all was well. And I have to give them props for watching the podcast. There were several opportunities where Trisha could have blown up, but Ethan constantly demonstrated patience, compassion, understanding, and truly supported her in a very platonic way, which, according to my research, was a first for Trisha. Her whole life, she's always been overly sexualized, and this was the first time a man that didn't want to sleep with her or use her for sexual benefits was her friend. He only truly supported her even when she announced her engagement to Moses. In a now since deleted episode 17 to be exact, Trisha would go on to name her alleged abuser who was a teacher at her middle school she attended. Trisha would state very serious crimes about this teacher and encourage her fans to look him up because he was arrested for CP. Now, keep this information in mind because this doesn't really affect their relationship until after Frenemies is over. For majority of the episodes in Frenemies, they were fun, funny, and the energy was pretty good. They celebrated Trisha's birthday and the two genuinely seemed to really get along. Until Gila, Ethan's wife, got pregnant. There was a significant change in Trisha's energy in general, especially towards Ethan and how she interacted with him. Ethan and Gila had been trying for quite some time to get pregnant, but struggled with infertility issues. But after struggling for so long, they were finally expecting a little bundle of joy and were thrilled. Trisha, for some reason, didn't seem to relish in that joy. Trisha has stated in the past that due to certain health issues, her tubes are blocked, causing her to be infertile. I don't know if because of her own issues with getting pregnant, it made the situation very sensitive for her, but she didn't seem to show any happiness or excitement for her in-laws in this wonderful news. 1 week later, on June 8, 2021, Trisha and Ethan would yet again have a huge fight. They would start arguing about money and how the finances were split between the two. There was also a new crew member, a woman named Sam, that Trisha clearly didn't like and was upset that she was brought on to help produce the show.
A third pizza?
You're so not good about this. Okay, let's go to your stupid.
Make sure that
I don't like
pizza.
this segment. Just for the record, fan advice is a stupid segment.
Why?
But we can do it. It's so dumb. What's the point? Okay, go ahead. It's such a dumb segment.
It's so not. It's
like we
fun.
have nothing to fill the time.
Why are you attacking me?
You asked me. You said tell me, and I'm telling you. Like just because you guys come up with everything doesn't mean it's good. It's recycled, a lot of it. So it's like I can come up with new ideas. A lot of it.
No.
Mm-hmm.
If you have ideas, I'm all ears.
I watch H3 Live and we talk about the same thing, and I'm happy to talk about it.
It's not always like that. It's happened before. I agree.
The title was like pregnancy announcement, which is I'm happy to talk about the pregnancy.
We talked a lot about the pregnancy here.
But it wasn't the pregnancy announcement. H3 Live was. It's your guys' thing, which I'm happy to talk about. I'm happy for you guys. But to say like, oh, we don't recycle things, it's like, you do, and it's fine. But I don't make it the same title because it's not an announcement. We're talking about your pregnancy.
I wouldn't say recycling. It's a different conversation.
The original one was Trisha's gonna like something. It doesn't have to be about me, but I'm just saying like the fact that it's a pregnancy announcement again when it's not a pregnancy announcement because I'm not pregnant. You know what I mean? We're talking about your guys' pregnancy. It wasn't an announcement. You announced it on H3 Live.
Oh, you thought that people would think it was about you being
pregnant?
Of
course it was, because you are, unless you're just recycling the same title you did for H3 Live, which is, it's not, it's just like, I watch H3 Live, I don't want to talk about it on Frenemies. Like, if we're being honest,
we were going to talk about Hila being pregnant, obviously.
Of course. Yeah. But the title has to be pregnancy announcement?
I don't see why that's a problem.
Because you did that on Friday. You're just recycling titles.
You're so angry about this.
I'm literally not, but it's just so funny. I'm not. I'm angry when you say something.
You need to admit when you're angry.
Ethan, I promise you, this is really is gaslighting. I go to a lot of therapy right now, and this really is. When I say I'm not angry, I'm not. I'm like just trying to tell you that you're like, oh, we do everything for the show, and I'm saying it's not always good. I'm not angry. If I was angry, I would like leave or something, but I'm not. But you telling me I'm angry
or something? You're not upset or angry. Okay. All right.
But it is like frustrating when you think you do all this work and like think, oh, we're doing all this great stuff, and it's like, it's not that great sometimes. A lot of it is, and I like appreciate all the work you do and stuff like that. But it's also like not that great. I don't get input on like people we hire, like all this stuff like that. I don't get
people we hire. Why would I ask you about people I hire?
Because it's Frenemies and you take the budget for paying the crew. That's what you told me. You take highlights, you take 5% to pay the crew. No, so why don't I get any input on the crew or what we do?
These are employees of our
So why are you taking highlights and 5% of Frenemies? You told me that it was to pay them, that they could be working
for production costs.
Okay, but you told me
it's for
at the beginning.
Costs.
You told me at the beginning it's like they could be working on other things. Because I made that argument too. I'm like, well, they're already H3. Oh, they could be working on other things. So I'm like, okay, in that case,
for production costs. I take 5% extra from the podcast revenue, and I take the highlights revenue, and everything else we split.
Right. So for production costs,
yeah.
But again, you were about to move us all to downtown LA, and I was just like, but the production cost should be included. Yeah. Like you were going to share the cameras because Dan said, "Oh, we have to get new computers and new cameras." Well, I'm like, Frenemies has the budget. And I obliged
you. I said, "Okay, fine."
But you fought me on it
because we bought a studio downtown. That was always the plan, by the way, that we were going to move downtown. And then all of a sudden, I was like, "Yo," and I was like, "Yo, we're moving." I told you ahead of time, but it's fine because
you didn't tell me downtown LA.
We're still at my house now, but I said, "Okay." So I was like, "Yo, by the way, we moved into our new office. We're going to be there next week." It's good. And then you're like, "Oh, I don't want to go down there." And but we had made all these plans to move the set and everything and to do everything. So you're like, "I don't want to go down there." And then we talked about it for a little bit, and I said, "Okay, fine." And so we had to buy.
But that was the first time we ever spent money on production costs.
It's not about that, dude. It's literally about we are producing the show and I'm taking a cut. I feel like that's beyond reasonable.
All the highlights.
Beyond reasonable.
5%. 5%. Do you realize how much 5% was of our last one? That should be enough. But also like highlights, and then you weren't the membership I had to fight for because you weren't. You're like, oh, I forgot to tell you about the members. Like
I giving you 50% of all the members, even though we work and do all of the work. I don't know why you fight me on money. The deal you have is beyond reasonable.
Okay. And that's what gaslighting is, because you're saying I'm gaslighting you by saying
you're not upset. You're perfectly. You're in a perfect condition right now.
Okay. Wow. Holy cow, that's crazy. I mean, I don't know how I just don't see what you just did. That's really.
What did I do?
We have to end it now. Like really.
What did I do?
We gotta stop for real. Really. We need
Okay.
to stop. Please. Okay.
Whenever you're ready, you can walk away.
So,
Trisha, let me just say,
the
I'm
fact,
sorry.
Ethan, that you just did that, you're right.
I don't know what I just
Nothing's wrong
said.
with you. But you don't know how much therapy I go to a week. I go to 4 Zoom
Trisha,
sessions a week. No,
I understand,
Ethan,
but okay,
what you just said was, you're right, Trisha. Everything's fine. That's insane. Like, the fact that you did that to me is like
it's
insane.
not insane. We're friends. We're having a friendly conversation. I shouldn't have to walk on eggshells around everything I say.
All right, Ethan, I'm asking to end this. I'm asking
you can leave anytime, Trisha.
But then you're making this thing where we're not ending the show and you get to sit here and be like, okay, well, that just happened and you're eating pizza and then
I will end the show the minute you walk off the
All right, so let's just end it, please. Thank you guys for watching. And I don't want it to be a thing where you're just sitting here eating pizza and you become a meme.
So then I'll say, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Obviously, I don't want to get an argument over
I really need to leave.
Okay. All right. We're done. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
After Trisha stormed out of the studio, she and Ethan would speak via phone afterwards about the show and any ideas Trisha had moving forward. Ethan attempted to smooth things over with her so that the podcast could go on. Trisha made several demands, such as changing the studio and where they filmed the podcast. She demanded an all-new crew to produce the show, and Ethan was willing to hear her out and try to accommodate. But the next day, he would be blindsided by Trisha as she uploaded a video telling the world she quit the show. Trisha would go on to explain her side, that she thought she was 50-50 partners with Ethan in the show, which she clearly was not, as they agreed to 55-45. She expressed how she wanted to have a say-so in who they hire for the show, but Ethan's production company that was created prior to his work relationship with Trisha produces the show. All in all, the two were clearly not on the same page, and Trisha had a hard time understanding. She was coming on to Frenemies as a talent hired by Ethan's production company H3H3 Productions. Trisha's narrative in her I'm Quitting Frenemies video was highly embellished and false, but she tried her best to spin it so she looked taken advantage of. Ethan would follow up with his own video that has a more truthful depiction of what happened. The environment that Trisha created on set was toxic for everyone involved.
I don't understand. What am I supposed to do? That's what I mean. It's like I can't humanly do more. She expects superhuman care. I'm not a superhuman. You know what I mean? I don't have like psychic abilities. Unfortunately, I'm working in the constraints of a mortal mind. And then she brings up this 5% cut thing where it's like, dude, it doesn't seem like that much to ask that I get a 5% cut to cover everything that I've spoken about. We pay for the set, we rent the space, we film it, we use our equipment, we employ the people, we edit it, we upload it, we post it, we get that sponsors, we develop the concepts, we work all week to prep the segments, we pay for the insurance, we do the accounting and the payroll. I send her a fully itemized report every month of literally everything and how the expenses break down and her cut. And the fact that she would even accuse me of not being transparent is honestly very hurtful, because I've gone so far out of my way to be as transparent as possible. I show her literally everything. I have our CPA preparing a monthly report itemizing literally everything.
I also want to point out that a lot of focus goes towards Trisha and her mental illness, but Ethan also struggles with it as well. He was diagnosed with depression and takes medication for it, and his mental health should also be taken into consideration, not just Trisha's. With the release of both videos from Trisha and Ethan, the podcast was over, as well as their work relationship. But the drama would continue to unfold and things would become even more toxic. In August 2021, a few months after the abrupt ending of Frenemies, Trisha would go on Keemstar's podcast and drag Ethan Klein. Now, you may ask yourself, well, what's the big deal? Apparently, Keemstar, who is a content creator, and Ethan do not get along. They have a very confrontational relationship, and the fact that Trisha went on his podcast was like a slap in the face to Ethan. Ethan would comment on this scandal via his Twitter account and express how sad and disappointed he was about it. But things would get worse. Remember episode 17 of Frenemies, where Trisha alleged a middle school teacher of hers? She stated his name, the school he worked at, and encouraged the audience to look him up because he was fired and arrested for viewing CP. After looking into these very serious allegations, YouTube channel Mysterious looked into this situation and was unable to find any claims to validate Trisha's story. After this video was published, it received immense attention and recognition because it strongly disputed Trisha's claims. So after receiving backlash for that particular episode, Ethan decided to remove the video with the following statement. Trisha would then respond by releasing several private messages between herself and Ethan's family. In these messages, Trisha claimed the teacher she accused of her, who has since died in 2019. His family was receiving so much hate and embarrassment because of Ethan. She accused Ethan of inciting a hate mob to his family, even though she was the one who outed this teacher by name, school, and year. She was now blaming Ethan for the backlash. A few days prior to this scandal, there was another one. Moses, Trisha's fiance, had been accused of. He completely denied these allegations and absolutely refuted them. To prove his innocence, he uploaded text messages between the two. All this drama was really taking a toll on everyone involved. Hila was pregnant and on the verge of miscarrying at any point due to the stress. Ethan was struggling mentally because of all of this. Trisha and Moses were on the verge of planning their upcoming wedding, and the parents were also getting involved at this point, with Hila saying how her mother, who was also Moses' mother, was so depressed and struggling mentally with everything that was going on, and that their family was broken down. Trisha would go on to post several videos of herself crying about the situation.
Fucking shaking, I don't want to monetize this. I've been acting like everything's okay, but there are just so much wrong going on right now. They're doing, not only they're nothing to stop, but they have no sympathy, no remorse. This is not random people, this is people they know. They're just begging. If someone asked me to stop talking about them, I would stop fucking talking about them. Never once has Ethan and Hila reached out to me about any of this. They never once asked me to stop, and now I'm just pleading. And their response is, you don't get to tell us what to do. I'm fucking having an actual breakdown. My past. How people are accusing me of lying. They don't believe Moses. They believe all victims except for fucking Trisha. No, I'm a fucking liar and I'm demanded to make a statement. I'm just letting everything go. I'm conceited. I'm so conceited. I said I'm sorry. I said I'm done. I'm so fucking done. It doesn't tell me anything. It's that I'm fucking done.
Ethan and his wife Hila would decide to take the high road and not mention or speak about Trisha until after her wedding. H3H3 Productions is a production company that comments on current events. It is a pretty successful company that runs several channels, podcasts, along with an apparel line. Even though their fans wanted them to comment on the Trisha Paytas drama, they made an executive decision to no longer discuss it. Ethan took a stance and promised his wife that he wouldn't speak about Trisha or comment on anything about her until after Trisha's wedding, and he kept that promise. Trisha married Moses December 11, 2021, and soon after, Ethan commented on a TikTok of Trisha's, and he didn't hold back. Ethan was highly offended at Trisha's comment that she paid off a rabbi for her conversion. He took offense to it and made a video about it. Trisha didn't take too well to Ethan voicing his opinion, and that is when she released this recent video of herself crying on the floor, begging Ethan to stop talking about her. So that's where we are. What are your thoughts on this situation? Do you think Ethan is bullying Trisha and should stop talking about her? Do you think he has the right to express his feelings? My thoughts on this situation is that it is very unfortunate for all involved because it goes past work issues. This has now divided a family. Trisha's allegations have also smeared the teacher's reputation, and he isn't alive to defend those allegations. I find Trisha Paytas to be someone who is very manipulative and talks fast to try and trip people up. With her, you have to be an active listener because she constantly contradicts what she says to fit her narrative and what will go with what she wants at that time. There is zero consistency. Trisha also likes to play these Jedi mind tricks, and again, it is very abusive behavior. I'm not saying Ethan is innocent, but from what I saw in research, he was really rooting for Trisha and in her corner all the way, and she yet again self-sabotaged, hurt a lot of people, and left a mess behind. Reminds me of a tornado. So what are my thoughts? Well, I had the pleasure of watching countless hours of Trisha's content, and it is very fascinating how warped her reality is. Trisha has said on multiple occasions that she is a narcissist and that she lies all the time. Her words, not mine. And in watching her content, you can clearly see how much she lies. It was hard to know when she's being honest or when she's making up a lie on the spot. It's all very contorted, and I don't feel like I know who she is. There's a strong lack of authenticity. Ethan had a problematic past, but in watching his content from the past to present, you can clearly see growth. I think it's also important to point out that when Trisha walked away from Frenemies, she went on 6 different podcasts trashing Ethan from June to August while he said nothing, really. She tweeted about him nonstop. Her family spoke badly about him as well. It wasn't until the about her now husband Moses came out when Trisha wanted to silence Ethan. Ethan questioned the validity of her story about the teacher. He commented on the rape of Moses, and that's when she wanted to shut it down. Yet, she went on a smear campaign months prior dragging Ethan, but when her husband is accused of horrific things, she all of a sudden doesn't want any drama. The last comment I would like to make is when we connect with others, we create an experience that not only impacts us, but others as well. Trisha kept saying that she deleted all these videos where she was talking badly about Ethan and his family, and that she was begging him to stop talking about her. But Trisha has no power or authority to silence someone who's had an experience with her. Just because she moved on now that it's convenient for her doesn't mean Ethan and his family can't express how they feel about their experience with her and what since transpired. It's not Trisha's world. It seems like she wants to sweep things under the rug because her husband is facing terrible accusations, but she has no right to silence others. In my opinion, everyone is entitled to how they feel, how they want to process things, etc., and it's not up to her to dictate how someone does it, and vice versa. Ethan and his family have the right to express how they feel. Trisha kept saying in her plea video that she simply asked them to stop talking about her. Well then, prepare yourself for the answer they give. You can ask someone something all day long. It doesn't mean they are going to oblige.